George Brown,
Good morning.
thank you and good morning for being here.
Good morning. How are you? Great.
How was your vacation in Africa?
I had an absolutely wonderful time in Ghana, Accra, West Africa. We got a chance to, I went over with friends and family over there. We have people from Mount Vernon that's born and raised, that's been there for 30 years to make sure that we do everything we're supposed to do and see everything we're supposed to see. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experience.
Now, did you knew that I was African, born and raised in Mozambique?
No.
Pure
I was
African.
surprised. Yes, I was surprised when you just told me that. I was like, you were actually born in Mozambique. And I'm telling you, when you go there and you walk through the slave dungeon and you go through the first abduction jungle and you see what happened, how people was abducted, and you walk into the river that the people was washed before they were sold into slavery, you get a completely different perspective of, first of all, anyone that is born on that continent, Africa. Secondly, you just have a completely different ideology on why people do things the way they do, and we're survivors. That's all I can say. We're survivors. But it was a great experience, and not only that, I stayed in the Royal Palm Beach Hotel. That place is absolutely fabulous. When the pictures show up, you would think that you're in the Caribbean somewhere, because the place is just absolutely beautiful.
Now, while you were away on your vacation, things are happening in Mount Vernon.
Well, I expect a lot of things to happen. As things change, things appear to change. They'll always be the same. There's going to be a lot of areas in this city where, even though you change the administrations, there's going to be a lot of things that's going to stay the same, because that's just the nature of our city government.
Well, a lot of people are saying that the current Mount Vernon government is in chaos. They're doing things that they're not supposed to be doing. They're coming out with accusations that without actually investigating first. And you were just accused of cyber piracy. Hacking, which is a federal crime.
Yes.
Hacking into a government system. And that's what you were accused of. You or your deputy, Lauren Carter. They accuse you of deleting records, official records, even though an apology was made a few hours later. Accusation came from the council president, Lisa Copeland.
Well,
how you feel about that?
Well, first of all, I would say consider the source. It's absolutely terrible. It's shameful that people would make accusations to try to tear people's reputation up. But I think I've been there for 15 years. I've been doing that job for 15 years. Again, I am from that city. I love the city. I've worked with government agencies that would probably pat me on the back for the confidentiality work that I've done to put the city in the position that it is now, without going into detail. But for Lisa Copeland to say something like that, I expect something like that from Lisa, because she doesn't know that much about the office as much as she claims to. She used to be the clerk, but again, I'm not surprised by Lisa, because Lisa is just not the Lisa that I knew when I was the clerk. I'll put it like that, and I'll be very polite by saying it that way.
We're gonna get that, but George, shouldn't an investigation be done before a serious accusation is made? Yes, you apologize, but that doesn't mean that you didn't make the accusation. And if you're a council president, you are in charge of a council passing laws. And we fight for justice.
Yes.
We fight for fairness. We fight for charging people or accusing when we have basis for an accusation. Doesn't this accusation actually give us an insight on how she handles herself?
Well, yes. That's why technically I am not really blown away. I can't say I can't believe she did this, because that's who she is. You know, she's the type of person that does not do thorough investigation. She's an emotional person. Most of her decisions is made on how she feels instead of doing the work. That's why she had to retract the statement. And second of all, in reference that the minutes were off the website, the minutes have never been on the website.
Exactly.
Never, because the minutes have always been on a hard drive in the clerk's office, in my desk, an internal hard drive. Because of past experiences with different administrations, we had to make sure that the records was always secure. And the records have always been secure because management service never had access to them.
So then they continue to lie, because on the retraction that she made was that there was an IT update of the systems where the minutes were lost. How can the minutes be lost if those minutes were never on the website on the first place?
Again, this is what I'm saying. As obviously, she made these statements without doing a proper investigation. I can tell you for the last 15 years that I've been the clerk that the minutes were never on the website, because I had to make sure that they were secure. I never got to an agreement with management services that they would not be altered in any way, form, or fashion. So we always kept everything basically in the office.
In order to protect the integrity of the file.
Exactly. And this is the reason why when other government agencies would inquire about certain documents, I never had to go to anyone else to issue those documents or to render those documents, because we was in possession of. Not even the city council should have access to various documents. For instance, financial disclosure forms. They have nothing to do with it. Those are records. Those records are monitored by the clerk, not the council, not the mayor, not the controller. No, any person, any other branch of government. That is a responsibility of the clerk's office. And the integrity of the clerk's office is paramount. Those records has always been available when we were subpoenaed. We never got a complaint about why they could not get records. But a lot of times that wasn't people's business. It was between the clerk and that government agency that requested records. They never had a problem in the past receiving records. Why you think we're here? Well, why do you think we're at this point in Mount Vernon's history, looking at what recently happened? That was all basically because of records that came out of the clerk's office, which the council had nothing to do with.
But then, if record, because probably, I'm not sure, I'm just making, I'm pulling something out of my, you know what? Who would benefit, George, if those records are missing? If some of those records are now missing because they say, well, maybe we lost something on this supposedly update of the website, something that really doesn't involve the records, because according to you, who were the record keeper,
right,
and you stating that those records were never on the website.
That's right.
So now all of a sudden, some records might have been gone because of this alleged update. Who would benefit?
Well, it is obviously that I guess the person that makes the accusation.
Be specific.
Well,
who?
I mean, evidently, I can't see. Well, I depending upon what record we're talking about, I guess Lisa would benefit by saying this stuff. I guess that's why she had to retract her statement. Why would you make a statement, something like that, without thoroughly investigating, thoroughly understanding the process? I just don't understand why she would do something like that. But then again, I'm not surprised.
But if
I am not surprised.
But if what you're saying is totally truth, then her retraction is erroneous, because she's saying that she made a mistake. You or Lauren never deleted anything. During an update of the website, the files went missing. That's her retraction. So a file went missing, but you are saying that those files were never on the website.
Minutes. The minutes we didn't put on the website. We kept them in the office. We had hard copies. The council would get hard copies. But now I had some files on my hard drive, on my computer hard drive, of the minutes of all of the meetings, the Board of Estimates and Contract meetings, all the special meetings. Ironically, when I came back from Africa, and there was, I think, the last council meeting, I was told by the Deputy Clerk, William Holmes, that I said, where are the files? Because we have a little flash drive that we record the meetings on for the audio. And the video, we record them on the 360 camera that I had purchased. And none of those files were where they were supposed to be. I was told by Deputy Clerk Holmes that him and Councilman Griffith worked with IT to upload everything on the website. And I told him we should never upload all of our original files on the website. And at that point, it's my understanding that there were nothing on that internal hard drive. I didn't get a chance to really look at it because I was packing my my things to make my exit. But I was very disappointed. One of the flash drives was always kept by the deputy, Lawrence Carter. And when I received that particular flash drive, I noticed there was nothing on it. Nothing on it. And that's the response that I got from the deputy. He clearly told me that him, Councilman Griffith, and IT worked to upload everything on the system. And the only person that had access to that stuff was him and the senior count clerk, Ms. Stevens, in the clerk's office. And I said to him, why would one of the staff members have access to these documents? And he told me that's the decision that they made when I was away in Africa.
So the councilman now is involved in record and
never,
integrity.
Yes.
How is that?
He should never be involved with records. Never be involved with records.
Because especially there is records that might be against him or in favor of him. So they should keep their hands away from any record. No one but
the clerk has to. The clerk has to put his big boy clerk shoes on and realize who you are and your responsibility. Let me just say this too: Lauren Carter is a person of impeccable integrity. She's an honorable woman. Did I get along with her all the time? No. I don't have to say that. I needed to say that. She is absolutely a great worker. She's smart. She's intelligent. She knows that job. It's a disservice to any person to come in that office to work without being properly trained. For instance, if you go back the last 25, 30 years, Lisa was Reggie's deputy. I was Lisa's deputy. The transition moved in such manner. No one basically comes in without being properly trained by a predecessor. So what happens now, I would not be surprised of anything to happen because it's a disservice to Mr. Holmes by bringing him in the way they brought him in. He did not get proper training, access, exposure to understand his role and that he is going to be the clerk, or while the clerk, they don't have a city clerk. As a deputy clerk, he's responsible for the integrity of that office. I can't even blame him on that.
But you know what? Maybe things were done by design. Maybe, there is a reason why they brought him in. Without experience, without the know-how. Mm-hmm. Maybe there is a reason.
Well, there is definitely a reason. Evidently, it's obviously a political favor. I mean, yes, I did say that. It is a political favor. But it's political suicide to me. Why would you bring someone in that has no clue on how to run the office, and especially an office of that magnitude? You're the clerk for the administration, for the mayor's team, for the controller's team, and for the council's team. Every commissioner comes to the clerk for advice. Every last one of them. Every last one of them. And to have that relationship, then you got to be committed to the job of the clerk, the record keeper. All right. Even though you work for the council, but you have a higher calling. If you don't believe that, when those government agencies start issuing those subpoenas, sometimes those subpoenas are for council people. You can't go to them and tell them, oh, we got a subpoena for you. You got to comply. Because in the subpoena, most of the time, it'll tell you, this is confidential matter. You have to keep this between yourself and those that issue it.
Issues.
Yeah.
Now, you just said a key word here. Political favor.
Yeah.
Pay for play, basically.
Well,
Whose favor?
it's very obvious that Lauren and I have been there. Well, I've been there for the past 15 years. And you would say, why would you bring someone in to a new job and give them a raise without even seeing how they perform? Yeah. I never pushed hard for a raise because I was enjoying what I'm doing. I mean, I would have taken it, but I've never really pushed hard for a raise. That just makes you wonder, why would you raise a person's salary before they even start the job? Don't even have a performance record to justify the raise. Yeah,
And this is a raise for city employees in a city that is financially hurt.
Yes.
Okay. So how do you justify that? I guess in any business, you don't give raises unless you justify, make a business justification that you deserve the raise.
Yeah. Well, I can say this, that over the past, which I've said on my letter of resignation to the council, and also I mentioned it on Facebook, because I want the people to know that over the past 7-8 years, we did have a found revenue of $1.2 million in the movie industry. But that's something that was created. Now, if he had been part of that staff, then I can say justification, well, let's give him a raise because they brought in revenue. They increased the revenue by 1,000%. But if you haven't done anything, you got to earn that. Especially on the famous words of Deborah Reynolds, on the backs of the taxpayers. Okay. And I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt on that.
But George, political favor. Forget about the race for a minute.
Right.
Okay. So we got the job as a political favor. You were removed, the deputy was removed, and this person was put in your place. What favor, or who was paying him for that political favor that he did?
Well, I can only tell you, I can't actually say who. I can only tell you that any decision of the council, it takes a majority of 3, and the 3 that voted for this change was Lisa Copeland, Marcus Griffin, and Derek Thompson.
Lots of people are comparing the Mount Vernon Council to a dysfunctional family. Not fighting for the best of the people of Mount Vernon, not fighting for the best interests of the city of Mount Vernon, but fighting for the best interests of themselves. Would you agree with that statement or no?
I can't disagree with it. I cannot disagree with it. Sometimes in life, you make sacrifices for the greater good, and you don't always have to be the person that's getting credit for something if it's going to be a greater good for the whole. I don't see that happening. I do not see that happening. Now, there's a person that they call controversy, but I can tell you one thing. I'm gonna go out and talk about Councilwoman Farquharson, because Councilwoman Farquharson just does not go along with the status quo. And if it's right, she supports it. If it's wrong, she doesn't support it. And she doesn't get involved up in the team politics. I needed to say that because that's what I believe who she is. But you're right. It appears that people have agendas. They're doing things for reciprocation. I'll do this so I can get this. Nothing that I do it for the sake of the better of the city. Like I always say, if you cut me open, I bleed maroon and gold, because those are the colors of Mount Vernon High School. People that don't know that understand that I'm never going to do anything to hurt Mount Vernon. I didn't bang on the table and ask for a raise. I enjoyed doing what I was doing. I enjoyed marrying the people from the city of Mount Vernon. I enjoyed asking a kid that came in that did not have ID, and his name was Smith. I would say, well, what's your mother's name? What's your father's name? Oh, I know his parents and everything. He's good. I enjoyed giving the service to the people, being a public servant. That's the great thing about that job. But when we start putting politics and personal favors into it, you run into a bad situation where only a few people are going to benefit for the wrong reasons.
You know, I remember a year and a half ago, 2 years, I'm not sure on the date, when we had the big issues with Mayor Richard Thomas. Okay, Mayor Richard Thomas is out of there.
Yes.
And the issues continue in the city of Mount Vernon.
Well, let me just say this.
And those are the same people that were attacking him and trying to expose the problem. I'm not saying there was no problem or there was a problem. I'm just a reporter. I report what I see. I don't take sides. But I can see that the same people that condemned him then are being condemned now for the...
Well, let me just say this. The integrity of the clerk's office was paramount in moving the city forward, as far as that's concerned. I'll tell you something else. I'd like to know why, when Mayor Thomas did leave and Mayor Wallace took over, and Mayor Wallace sent out letters to the various law firms that paid for Mayor Thomas's finances, why he sent a letter out to one particular firm. He sent several letters out. He sent one out to one firm, and on a Monday and on a Thursday he got a check for $175,000. Why isn't that being pursued? The other attorneys have not came back up to the plate. Now, the new administration knows about this. All you have to do is just say, give us our money, and I'm sure they will comply. If they don't, then you sue them. That money that came out of the water department. They're trying to push that under the rug. Why? That's taxpayer money. All you have to do is to pursue it. You will get it.
Now, George, in order of being fair, the fact that that law firm that received the letter and within days had sent the check back,
right,
they acted because they thought that was the right thing to do, not necessarily the legal thing to do, because they could have said, okay, you send us the letter, take us to litigation, and let's settle in court.
Right.
Now, we don't know if the other firms are doing exactly that. And
it's not that we don't know that they're doing exactly that. There's no pursuit.
But we don't know.
On our end.
But George, we need to be fair. I don't know what the current mayor is doing. You probably know more than I do. How do we know that she's not going after that taxpayers' money that was paid to the law firm?
It's called a progress report.
Okay. Please explain.
Has there been any progress report?
You see,
has there been any mention of it?
You see, George, that's why I like our reports and our interviews so much.
Yeah.
Because lots of people reach conclusions or rush to conclusions without knowing the facts. They're not informed. So we take this time to inform the people.
Yeah.
So talk to us about this progress report.
Well, the progress report is just simply an update on where we are in a particular issue. I am sure most of the time mayors and council members, when they have various issues that they're dealing with, they either through a letter, like the controller. The controller has a letter giving you an update on various financial issues. The mayor would have a letter that she would have giving you an update on various issues of the city. And of course, even the city council will make statements. For instance, they made a statement about the moving forward with Memorial Field. Update on current issues. Where's the update on this particular issue with that money that was stolen out of the, allegedly so-called stolen out of the water department to pay for Mr. Richard Thomas's bills? Where's the update? It just can't just sit on the wall. It's not going to solve itself.
But there is a lot of updates that we are not getting. And that's an update about something that Mayor Richard Thomas always talked about. Loans given to lots of people, and repetitive loans. Loans and repetitive loans to people who did not pay the prior loan. And those are millions and millions of dollars. This is something that the prior mayor insisted. Where is the progress report on that?
Well, I am not in the administrative position to say where we're at.
Where were we when you were there?
Well, again, that responsibility lies on that particular administrative office to update people on issues. And this is the reason why you have, I guess the mayor has a monthly meeting every month that's open to the public, and the council has a council meeting for people to come and inquire. We want to know about A, B, C. Where are we with this issue? Where are we with that issue? So we're putting it out there so that the people would come to the city council and ask them, or go to the mayor and ask them, simply at those public forums that allows the public to ask questions to its public officials and hold them accountable. We just want to know. Give us an update. Lie to me. Tell me something.
Tell me something. Now, George, I'm asking you this. I know that you're not part of the administration, but you are an open book. That's what you told me. Correct?
Yes.
And let me tell you guys, it's not like George and I always got along.
Yes, we've had some rough days. One time I threw you out the office.
That's
But I understand that you was just trying to do your job, and I was just trying to do mine.
Exactly.
I'm glad that we put egos aside for the sake of information from people.
correct. So for the
That's what needs to happen.
Exactly.
Across the board.
That's what was going to be my next topic. That's what needs to be put up. Information. Transparency. You need to be transparent.
Yes.
You think the current administration at all levels, mayor, comptroller, council, are they transparent to the people of Mount Vernon? Because that's not the feeling that the people of Mount Vernon have.
I'm going to give you a political answer.
Now, give me the...
Wait, listen to the answer. The answer to that question is, what is the biggest room in the world? The biggest room in the world is room for improvement. So there is some improvement that can be done on all levels of government to make sure transparency, information is forthwith. Not the information that we want you to have or they want you to have, but the information that is needed for you to make good decisions, to understand the workings of the city, the condition of the city, the financial status of the city, again, the update with Memorial Phil. All of these things need to be updated. Now, if it's up to the people to ask the questions, you have to ask the questions.
You gave me the political answer. Now give me the real answer. I got the political answer because I heard that. Now give me the real answer.
Well,
are we being transparent in Mount Vernon? Because, your answer is like, I'm protecting you from the truth. No. Give me the truth.
When I say there's room for improvement, that means that there's a lot more that can be said. Yes. There's a whole lot more that can be said.
So, is the administration transparent? Yes or no, George? Yes or no?
I really can't commit to a yes or no. I'll just say that there's a lot more that can be exposed. There's bits and pieces of transparency. But is it across the board? No. No. There's room for improvement? Yes. Yes.
Well, there is always room for improvement, even in our own private lives.
Right.
But when you are part of an administration and you ran your campaign based on transparency, and now you're not being transparent because it's not the right way to go, or maybe protecting us, the people, from the truth, then you're not being transparent.
Well, in that case, I gotta say it like this. There's a saying that goes, a tree is known by the fruit that it bears. If it's transparent, it will bear fruit of transparency. It's just that simple. You don't have to, that's not rocket science. If you're transparent, your fruit is going to be transparent. Everyone will defend you and say that you're transparent. If you're not, people are not going to defend you and say that you're not transparent. It's just that simple. If you're the person or your organization or your department is transparent, people will say they're very transparent. And when they say that they're not, that means that people are not getting the information that they're supposed to get. It's just that simple. There's no two ways about it.
Read between the lines.
Yes.
You know,
I haven't even seen that.
yeah. Very often, the truth are said in the things that actually don't come out of your mouth. Not answering certain questions or going around. That's where the truth very often lies.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a problem. I have nothing to lose by speaking my mind. I try to always have integrity with what I do, but sometimes I really, really, really have to fight and hold myself back.
But we shouldn't. I don't know if you should, if you shouldn't. I think that everyone should think before they speak.
Right.
That I agree with you. But here is not about you.
Right.
It's not about me. Because I'm just a reporter, or if you want to call it, a guy with an iPhone. I really don't care much how you call me.
Right.
All that I care is that the information that I broadcast reaches the people that needs to have that information. So the important thing here, it's the people of Mount Vernon. Withholding information or not speaking your mind, George, or speaking your heart. Okay. You are not helping the city that you say you love so much and the people that you love so much. I'm not saying come here and slander anyone. I'm not saying make allegations just for the hell of making this interview look good. We're not interested in that.
Right.
We're not interested in that. We are not looking for that. We're looking for facts. Things that need to be talked about, that will help the city of Mount Vernon be a better city, that will help the people of Mount Vernon understand the true issues of what's going on.
Right.
Because a lot of people, they make their own mind based on misleading information, not on information.
Right.
Just like you. Yesterday, that article that came out accusing you of cyber piracy and hacking could have hurt you.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And that article, it's going to be on web forever.
Yes.
You like it or not.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay? I'm sure that maybe someday you'll be looking for another employment or another venture. And when it comes up that George Brown, deleted files from an official computer, it might not look good.
No.
Even if I don't say nothing, but he puts a seed in my mind.
Yes. You're absolutely correct.
Okay, so I think not saying things that are wrong in Mount Vernon can have the opposite effect. We need to know what's going on in Mount Vernon. People should stop holding back and say, this is the truth. This is what's going on in Mount Vernon. This is the reality. You people need to come up. You people need to come to council meetings. You need to speak up and you need to resolve. But we need to understand the problem. Because lots of people in Mount Vernon don't know the true problem. Only a handful in Mount Vernon, not mayors, City Hall office, know exactly what's going on.
Well, I have to agree with you there. You're 100% correct. The only issue on my end is that when I say something, I'll stand behind it and back it till I go to my grave. If it's red, it's red. If it's blue, it's blue. It is what it is, and I try not to sugarcoat things and say what needs to be said. Again, when you ask me in reference to about the council president making these accusations, well, I said very clearly, I expect that from her. I am not upset because I know how she works.
But we should be upset, George, because this is something that just came to light because she spoke about it.
Right.
How many other things people never know about it, and it's going on in Mount Vernon?
Yeah. Well, I don't think neither one of us have the time to talk about all the things that's going on that people don't know about. There's probably things going on that I don't even know about, but what I do know about, I will be glad to speak. For instance, I just received a phone call before this interview, as you saw.
Heard it?
From a city employee, which I will not discuss who it was.
But let's just discuss what was the issue. Can we do that without mentioning names?
Well, there was a phone call from a city employee asking me, did I know anything about them being written out the budget for whatever reason. I don't know if it was for political reasons But and I had to disclose to the individual that I never heard anything about that. And I would think that why would you want to write someone out the budget that brings revenue to the city?
Now let's explain what that term means.
Yes.
Written out of budget means you're going to be out of a job.
Right. Right.
That's exactly what it means. You're not in a budget. There is no money for you. It means you're not going to have a job.
It just doesn't make sense to me to write out a revenue generating position in the budget. So how are you going to make that revenue up? If, let's just say if I'm a dog catcher and I bring in $1 million writing fines for dog catching, for dogs not having dog licenses. All right, if I write the dog catcher out of the budget, how am I going to make that $1 million profit up so that the taxpayers can get the benefit of the doubt, or that the monies can go back into making that department a better department, more efficient department, and continue to raise money? It just doesn't make good common sense to me. But then again, a lot of decisions are not made on intellect, they're made on emotions. At the time, I am upset with you, so therefore you're out. To me, that's why Lauren Carter isn't there. It was a emotional decision and not an intellectual decision.
Not, you don't think? I see it a little different, because I interviewed Laura.
Right.
And I saw that decision be more like a little bit of a retaliation decision.
Retaliation is and emotional it has simulations.
Okay.
All right. But it was not an intellectual decision. It just doesn't make good political
business sense
or common sense to take a person of her magnitude, a person of her integrity, and just get rid of her. You deal with it. Like I said, let me be very clear. Lauren and I sometimes fought like cats and dogs. But I will never say that she wasn't a high person of integrity, of a person that was committed to her job, and she was good at her job. I would never go to get rid of Lauren because her and I had a dispute.
And especially, George, when you remove somebody who's competent and somebody who knows what they're doing, and they put in another person on that job who really has no experience about what they're doing.
You're right.
At the end of the day, those who suffer from the inexperience is the people of Mount Vernon.
Mm-hmm. My last day, I had the pleasure of marrying one of my childhood friends. It was such a great opportunity to do a service for the people. When you're doing a service for the people and you understand that you're a public servant and the politics is to the side, it makes that job one of the best jobs in the city. Also, I received a phone call from another childhood friend that was in California that wanted a birth certificate, and they said, "I'm so glad that there's someone in the city that I could call personally and pick the phone up and talk to them." And I wasn't sure who she was exactly at first, but I asked her some questions like, I knew her family well, and I said, "What's your mother's name?" I knew her mother's name. I said, "What's your oldest brother's name?" I said, "What church did they go to?" I knew all of that about the family. And then after she answered all those questions, I said, "Oh, how you doing? How's everything?" My point is that when you have someone that's associated with the citizens of Mount Vernon and understands that my job is to help this person on the other end of the phone, because people don't call you up to ask you how you're doing. They call you up to solve a problem that they got. And as long as you can realize you are serving the public, serving those people, you're having a good day. I felt good when I went home that day. She said, "Oh, thank you so much." And her birth certificate is in the mail. She said, "Thank you so much." And I got a chance to marry some of my childhood friends and see the smile on their face. One of my biggest moments that I enjoyed the most, which I think I mentioned the last time, was the lady that I married that was in a wheelchair. And to see her coming down the aisle, as I sang to her as she came down the aisle, see her with these tears in her eyes, I knew right away. I said, "Boy, I love this job."
What a satisfaction.
I love this job, to see someone who, and she had to take the bus to get there. And we waited for her to get there. But my whole point is that once we get serving the people and let that be the priority, and let the politics be the secondary issue. We got to be political because we're in a political environment, but that should not be the driving force. The driving force is to take care of the people's business.
I think that should be the only driving force,
Yes.
because when you're there, even though it's a political environment, but the reason why you got in that political environment was because you took an oath
Right.
to serve the people
Yes.
who elected you. It's not like once you elected, your oath changes,
Right.
your interest changes,
Right.
and now becomes what can I do for me here? What things can I take advantage of? People that voted for should always be the driving motive
Yes.
behind what you do. Now, George, you worked there for many, many years. I am sure you have many, many friends. And I'm sure that you're going to have a few that don't like you very much.
Yeah.
That's everything in life, you know?
Right.
Do they continue to speak with you? And what is the morale in the city of Mount Vernon, meaning
Well,
City Hall?
it's a good question. I received so many well wishes when I put it on Facebook, because I'm really not a Facebook guy. I put my whole life on Facebook, but I was leaving the job, and I thought it was proper to say good one, farewell, and I enjoyed doing what I was doing. I've just been so blessed by across the board with so many people wishing me well. I remember Senator Thompson, who knows my family personally. She put something that only her and I can relate to. She knew my father. She knew my father was the deacon at the church that we grew up in. And she said something, the deacon would be very proud of you right now. And it just almost brought tears to my eyes. So I've had some very, very positive accolades, and people are asking me, why don't you stop? Why don't you consider doing some things? I just feel that at this point in my life, I'm happy with what I did for the city. I don't know what's going to be in the future. You never know.
That brings us to our last question, because we could go on and on and on, but your breakfast is there waiting and it's getting cold, so we have to come to an end sooner or later. So let's conclude our interview with this last question. Not just colleagues of yours in the city of Mount Vernon appreciated you. There is lots of people in the city of Mount Vernon that appreciated you. That probably would like to see you as a representative, as an elected official, as a councilman. Is this something that might be in the pipeline? Considering running for those folks that you love so much, and to represent the city that you care so much about?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I've been asked by several political people, was I considering running for elected office? I'll just say this. Right now, it's not a burning passion that I have to do, but I would not take it off the table. I would talk to my God and my understanding, and if I'm motivated in that direction, I would probably, I could possibly run for a office in the future. I remember when I got the clerk's job, I was working at Con Edison. I was offered the job. I did not have enough time to retire. I talked to God of my understanding. The job was held for 2 years for me. Let me know that I got the approval from my higher power. And I got the job 2 years later. And I've been there ever since. So I try to consult with the God of my understanding to make sure that I got God's approval. So I feel with God's approval, the motivation of my love for the city, anything is possible. I would not rule out an opportunity, again, but it's not something that I just say, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to
It's not excluded.
Right.
It's not like, no, I'm not interested, you don't know. It might be.
It's something that very possibly could happen, yes.
Now, can I have your word that the day that you decide, that you make that decision,
You'll be the first to know.
that's all that's all that I'm asking.
You'll be the
Guys,
first to know.
Guys, as always, and I try to make it very clear to my members, our audience, that we are Yonkers Voice, in contrary to what some people think. I'm not on that side or on this side. I interview anyone that has something of essence, something of importance to say. My interest, it's simple, and it's one: inform the people. Mr. Brown is here with us. I have interviewed everybody: Richard Thomas, Wallace, Andrew Wallace, the prior mayor, now I forgot his name. I'm getting old.
Richard?
No.
Clinton Young?
No, before.
Ernie Davis?
Ernie Davis.
Yes.
I have interviewed them all. I interview everyone in Yonkers, Republicans, Democrats. I don't support anyone. My thing is to give you the information so you can make the right decision,
yes,
so you know what's going on in the city that you live in, and you are aware of what's going on. That's my goal. That's my interest. So if you are a politician, get in touch with us. We've been trying to get the current controller, Mr. Reynolds, Deborah Reynolds, step forward. We have contacted the councilman, the one that you just spoke about. I'm not too good with names.
Thompson?
No, Thompson. Griffith. We left him a message. He never called back. We have contacted many. So if you're interested, call us. Stay tuned for more. Mr. Brown, is anything else that...
Take care, Mount Vernon. We love you, and we're going to always be here to support you and the people of the city, great city of Mount Vernon. God bless you all.
On that tone, we end this interview. Thank you guys for watching.